the real cost of being a HGV driver. Now, what are we going to talk about today? The real cost. What do we mean by this? Well, this could mean two things. We could talk about the real sacrifices we make as HGV drivers, or we can talk about the costs, prices of getting your license, and is it worth it for you in the long run? Or should we talk about both? Let's have a look into this. Pass. Module 4, pass. Large vehicle off-road manoeuvres test pass certificate. Module 3A, certificate, pass. Practical driving test pass certificate, pass. Pass. Theory test, LGV, CPC case study, pass. Large vehicle theory test and hazard perception test, C, pass. Large vehicle hazard perception, pass. Large vehicle test and theory prescription, pass. ADR, dangerous goods, pass. So that's just me reeling off a few tests and what I've had to go through to get to where I am today with my driving certifications and all of my certificates to get to where I am today as a HGV driver, which is basically 3.5 years down the line now. I'm now still in the industry, but doing day work and working on supermarkets and doing a variety of work, basically. But the point we're having here today is, was all of this worth it? Is it worth it? And is it worth you doing it? Now, don't get me wrong. Since I was a child, I've always been into trucks. I've always had a fascination for them. I love seeing them. I know how important and a dedicated role and an important role they play on the road. With every driver that's behind that steering wheel, I understand the importance of the role. I have done since a young child. I've never had the money to go and get my licenses, and I was fortunate enough post-COVID that I had the opportunity to apply for the HGV boot camps. Now, I've literally just written down rough estimates of the cost it could cost you to gain your professional qualification as a HGV driver from category C, which is class 2 work, all the way up to 44 tonne on an articulated truck, class 1. And to give you an idea of what it could cost you to take on the responsibility as a HGV driver may shock you or may not. But I do know from experience of speaking to you guys online and my social media platforms is that a lot of people really are regretting spending the money on getting their licenses and going into the industry, because maybe 6 months to 12 months down the line, even less than that in fact, they haven't stuck around. So I'm going to give you a rough idea of how much this could cost you. So if you go for your class 2 category C, it could cost you approximately $1,800 to $2,800 to get your class 2 license. That's not even touching class 1. To then upgrade, let's say for example you go as a set package with a training provider and you don't go through the boot camp process where the government is government funded like myself, it could cost you between £2,650 to £3,000, nearly just under £3,500 to get your class 2 and class 1 license. Now that's not including your CPC costs, your certificate of professional competence certification that you have to go through now to actually get your licenses as a HGV driver, which could cost you between £100 and £300 now, when we all know that's probably a topic for a different day, the CPC, because one thing I do know is that the majority of drivers really don't see the point in it and see it as an absolute waste of time and just a money earner for training providers and an absolute scam. That's it, because I've never heard anything positive about the CPC anyway. So that's how much it could cost you to get qualified as a HGV driver here in the UK. Now, you might be from America, you might be from a different country, and may think that's an extortionate amount of money to pay to get qualified. But the beauty is about it over here at the moment, and has been the last few years, and I can relate to it, is we have had the opportunity to get onto boot camps, and the government funded boot camps. With the whole driver shortage, of course, they have given us the opportunity to get our licenses for free. All they want from us is commitment to passing and, you know, us to get work at the end of it. And that, you'd like to think, would be the ultimate goal for us as drivers, to ensure we get work at the end of it. No, you know, all singing, all dancing. So that's the cost. But what I want to talk about really is put the costs, actual price tag of these courses to one side for a second, and speak about the other side to coming into the industry. Let's say you've got your class 2, you've got your class 1, you're ready to rock and roll, you're excited, whether you're a young driver or maybe you're a little bit further on in life and you're looking to come into the industry and have a career change. What next for you? Do you know the sacrifices and the personal sacrifices that you have to sacrifice, pardon the pun, to become a HGV driver? Depending on what line of work you can also go into will depend on this as well. Not one job role fits all, and there is a variety of work out there for you to do, and plenty of companies that are looking for drivers. Although we do talk about the driver shortage, and I have spoke about this on a few occasions on previous videos, which personally I do feel like we have in this country. We have qualified drivers, just not enough of them, good ones, behind the steering wheel, doing a good job, safely and competently. So what I want to talk about is the sacrifices to you and your personal life as a HGV driver as well. Because if you are thinking about coming into this industry, you really have to think about it before you fork out up to £3,500 for a course to get your class 2 and class 1 professional qualification. And you know what they say, you're only a professional when you've had an accident. Up till then, you're just a bum on a seat. And I'm hearing it more and more the longer I spend in this industry, and to a degree I can sort of understand. The sacrifices is something I really want you to understand coming into this industry, because from experience, I've had my license since back end of 2021, 22. I have personally experienced a lot in the industry. I've learned a lot already in the industry with a short space of time that I have been doing it. And like I said, I don't claim to be the expert at anything. I don't claim to try and change the industry. It's raising awareness, education, and for those coming into the industry, you not wasting your time and energy on something that isn't going to fit you and suit you down to the ground. This industry isn't just for anybody. It really isn't. And you have to have some sort of pride, some sort of goal to come into this industry, and you need to have a why on why you want to be a heavy good vehicle driver, because the responsibility you have is enormous. It's massive. It is massive. So let's talk about the sacrifices you're going to have to make as a driver coming into this industry. Now, one thing you need to understand is that if you're coming into the industry as a HGV driver on class 1 and you maybe want to be a tramper, sleep in the truck, travel the country, travel the continent, if you're lucky enough to find a company to go and work for and they take you on, then brilliant. But that does come with sacrifices as well, such as missing family events and milestones, for your family, such as Christmas, birthdays, weekends with your family, holidays, other significant milestones that you have within your family as well. You need to understand that when you're doing long haul drives, that you're never guaranteed to get home on a Friday as well. You could be away Monday to Friday, home every weekend, but due to your driving hours being stuck on the motorway due to an accident, that could then run into a 15-hour day, which is your legal requirement, maximum legal requirement. And you could easily be forced to stop out on a Friday and not get home until Saturday morning because you need your legal your reduced 9-hour rest, or reduced or 11-hour rest, whatever it may be. You need to take all this into consideration, but you don't tend to know about this or learn about it until it actually happens on the road. And then new drivers get very frustrated and start to see the cracks appear beneath them because they didn't really understand all this before they started a job. You've also got to bear in mind that loneliness and isolation is something you could possibly experience as a driver as well. You're working on your own, you're doing possibly long distance drives, you're working on your own all day. You're in a cab. If you're claustrophobic, if I've pronounced that right, claustrophobic, for example, and you suffer with that sort of thing, then you could really suffer with that inside a truck as well. Some of these cabs are really tight spaces and not designed for trampers with a bed behind the seat as well. So you just got to bear all this in mind and have a real clear understanding of what you want to go into before you make that decision. Let's talk about work-life balance. You could really have poor work-life balance as well as a driver. So let's not get that wrong. You need to understand that even if you're a day driver or a night driver, the work-life balance situation can be quite challenging there as well, because you've got to bear in mind, as a day driver, as a night driver, you've got to travel to work, you've got to travel home, you've got to have your tea, you've got to be in bed by a certain time, which could stop you from doing the things you want to do around your job. Maybe you're used to going to the gym, but based on your shift pattern, you haven't got the time to go to the gym because you have to get your daily rest and get enough rest before you get back behind the wheel, driving a heavy goods vehicle with a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. This is just touching on a few, guys, and these are the main sacrifices that you need to consider as a HGV driver. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I've personally experienced it myself. I accepted it as a driver and still do accept it as a driver, and I sort of understood and did understand before I came into the industry all the sacrifices that you have to make and you will make as a driver as well. So please be very aware and understand that if you've got a partner as well, they are fully committed and fully behind you before you go behind the wheel of a heavy good vehicle and fork out the money you could be paying if you don't get on the boot camp and pay for it yourself. Make sure that if you're investing that into your future, that you really do have all this in mind before you commit to it. Sacrifices when it comes to physical and mental health. Now, I have touched on this on a couple of videos on mental health. I recently came out of my previous role, really was suffering for some time. I would personally say with mental health, my mind wasn't in a very good place. I was really struggling to get myself in a good place. I was struggling, and I would personally put that down to, now I look back at my experience and what happened to me, I would say isolation played its part as well. But the biggest thing for me is I personally feel like I needed a break. I wasn't taking a holiday. It was work, and eventually when you're not taking a break and looking after yourself, and you're work, and you want to just earn the money, that it can really get on top of you. And physical, mental health, that's when that comes into it. So it's really important that, give you an example, you've got increased health risks here obviously if you're not looking after your physical or mental health. Sleep disruption you can have as well when you're parked up at services. You could have a fridge driver next to you. You could have, you might be a really light sleeper, so you've constantly got vehicles, trucks coming in and out of the service station, night drivers having their breaks, etc, etc. Constant noise. So you've got to consider that as well, especially if you're sleeping in the truck and you need your rest. As drivers, we do have constant stress levels to a degree. We've got to navigate situations daily, challenging situations daily, such as traffic, such as accidents, dangerous drivers. We've got to think about the cargo on the back and the weight we've got on the back, so the responsibility on our shoulders with the cargo we've got on the back, which could be high value, and most of it is. We've got to think about all that all at the same time as well. You've got aggressive drivers, you've got tight schedules to actually think about every single day as well, and that goes for day drivers and night drivers. I'm not just referring to drivers that sleep in their trucks all night. This is an all-round sort of topic I'm talking about within the industry. So you've got to have all this. You've got to be quite strong-minded, independent, and be quite thick-skinned to a degree. If you're someone that takes things to heart too easily and too quickly, it's not going to work for you. And that's me being brutally honest. And I know a lot of some people do message me, ask me these questions, and yes, you have to be quite thick-skinned to a degree to work in this industry. You're going to come across drivers that are absolute spanners. They're absolute, I won't say the word, but you know, you can imagine, they're not nice people. There is a lot of negativity in the HGV industry. You have to have a positive outlook to it and do you. So it's what you make of it is how you feel about the industry. If you go to work for a company and you're surrounded by 10 negative drivers, you're going to become the 11th, or you could possibly become the 11th. If you don't fit into that category with them 10 negative drivers and you don't want to listen to their negativity every single day, well, they won't want you around them, will they? It's as simple as that. But in this industry, you're a one-man team to a degree. You work for yourself to a degree. Focus on you do you, and that's the most important thing. Don't be drawn into everyone else's bullshit, because as soon as you get drawn into that bullshit, shit rolls downhill and you'll be rolling downhill with it. It's that simple. Just do your job, keep yourself to yourself, and that's the most important thing, especially when you're working for a big organisation. So another one I wanted to touch on was, rest areas. You've got to bear in mind rest areas, not very comfortable. The rest areas or service stations in this country, there's a constant investment into services over here, truck stops, and it is improving slowly, but we've got a way to go. So take that as you wish. Positives. You're probably at this point feeling quite depressed, quite morbid, and thinking, do I really want to get my HGV license? Listen, it's not all bad after all. There's plenty of positives in this industry, and because I touch on the negatives and the sacrifices you've got to make as a HGV driver, let's not forget, it's not all bad. Because I've experienced some bad, it doesn't mean to say I haven't experienced the good side of this industry as well. So let's talk about the positives of being a HGV driver, because it isn't all bad. So let's touch on this. In this industry, there is plenty of positives, and I don't want you thinking for a second that I am Mr. Negative, because I'm still a driver. I still work 5 days a week as a HGV driver, and I'm working on rigids, from 18-ton rigids all the way up to double deckers. Believe me, I enjoy the industry, enjoy what I do. Considering we talk about all these negatives, I still love what I do, because I accept the role. I accept the industry for what it is at the moment. It could improve in the future, it could get worse. It's a very high demand and challenging industry and very competitive industry. So you've got to understand and take the rough with the smooth. Now, there is high demand of national shortage when it comes to drivers in this country. No matter what people say, we are still short of good drivers in this country. Many drivers are going through the boot camps and getting their licenses and actually not going into the industry. They're using it as a backup, which is no good to the industry, meaning the shortage is never going to change. The training providers or training companies training HGV drivers, it's all well and good for them. They get paid to train more drivers. But how many of these drivers are actually going into the industry once they're passed? I would say a lot less than you think. So the national average is still at an all-time low, and we're still looking for drivers, and it's a great time to get involved. And if you want job security, you want continuous work, you want money in your pocket, this is the industry to be in. Because once you've got your license and a little bit of experience underneath you, finding work is actually easier than you think, or can be easier than you think. And I know there are still people struggling to find the work out there. So, rough with the smooth, it has its pros and cons. Now, there's plenty of money to be made as a HGV driver. You can easily earn over 50 grand a year in this industry, hands down. You can certainly earn a lot less as well. But if you really want to earn the bigger numbers, over £50,000 a year, you've got to put the time, effort and work into your job. What you put into it is what you get out of it. You've got overtime, you've got bonuses you can achieve in this industry. You work for a decent company, you've got your workplace pensions, which a lot of people would say they're worth nothing now, because all they do in the UK is continuously tax us on our pensions and stuff like that anyway. But let's look at the positives. You can earn a half decent living, and although we talk about half decent living, the pay structures across the whole board can still be improved and still needs to be improved, considering all these sacrifices that we spoke about and the amount of sacrifices that drivers put into their lives. We should see a lot more from a financial perspective happening in the near future. So let's hope that does happen. But with the industry where it is at times, the competitiveness, everyone outbidding each other on jobs, etc., who knows how far that will go. But you know, it can be a very lucrative industry to be in if you find the right job, if you put the hours in, and that's what it comes down to. You've got to put the hours in to earn a really good living. I know drivers who earn over 70 grand a year, £75,000 a year, doing certain jobs, maybe working for a tanker company with their ADR, drainage companies. I've personally met them. In fact, I work with one of them at the moment, and he has personally shown me his pay statements, and he was doing incredibly well. But because he wanted a change of lifestyle, decided to take a pay cut to improve his lifestyle and work-life balance. Each their own, everyone's different. So it's not all bad. Now, we spoke about work-life balance before from a negative perspective, sacrificing. Let's talk about it from a positive perspective, because you can flip that. There is work-life balance. You can choose your shifts. You can work for an agency. You can choose to work days, nights. You can choose to be a tramper and sleep in your truck. You can choose to work weekends if you want. It's entirely up to you how you want to work. It's got to fit around your lifestyle, your family life, and yourself. What is it you want out of the industry? Like I said before, what you put in is what you can get out of this. So there is a work-life balance, but it's got to fit around you. But like I said before, sacrifices do come with that as well. You could be on a 9-hour shift, or guaranteed 9 or 10 hours per day. You could finish after 7 hours and go home and still be paid for 9 hours. But the flip side to that is you could be paid guaranteed 9 hours per day with an agency, and you're stuck on the road for 12 hours. So yes, you get more money financially, an extra 3 hours overtime, because you do a 12-hour shift, and you might be happy with that. The flip side to it, there are those who don't want more than 9 hours. They're happy with 9 hours. They want to go home and have a work-life balance. Rough or the smooth, you need to understand that. But there is pros and cons to the work-life balance. It depends how you look at it, and it's got to work around you. Traveling. As a HGV driver, you get to see the country. If you want to become a tramper and you want your independence, you like working on your own. A lot of ex-military personnel, like myself, we love being independent. We're independent individuals. We enjoy working on our own. We don't need a boss to tell us what to do. We give instructions and we get the job done to the best of our ability. That is what we do in the military. We're good at following instructions and getting the task completed and done as well as we can. And that's why ex-military come in to be trampers, because we're used to being away from home. We're used to looking after ourselves. We're independent individuals. So if you're that person who's independent, you may love being on a tramper role and being away. Maybe you're single. Maybe you have no children. You're young enough to travel. If you want to see the world, this is the industry to be in. Get your class 1 or class 2, find a company that does continental work or UK work all over Scotland, Wales, Ireland, etc. and see the country like I did in my previous company. Travel the whole of the UK and seen some fantastic sights. And it really is breathtaking stuff when you see certain parts of this country, down the coasts, etc., up in Scotland, etc., Wales, beautiful parts of this country that you never knew existed. So if you like traveling, hey, the perfect opportunity for you. Let's talk about briefly diverse roles. What do you want out of it? Do you want to do long distance, short distance, multi-drop work? What is it you want out of the industry? Well, if you enjoy driving, distance work will be perfect. I love driving. I love driving these big machines. I get an absolute thrill out of driving a HGV. I really do. I enjoy it. I love being on the open road. I love being dominant on the road. You know, it's just something I really enjoy doing. I've got a passion for. I take great pride in what I do for a living. Yes, it's hard work, but I still enjoy what I do. So what is it you want to do? Maybe you just want to do lots of deliveries. Maybe you don't want to do long distance. You want to do short distance. Well, there's plenty of variety out there and companies that do that. If you want to do distance work, go for a company that does distance work. Do your research. There's opportunity for you to do that. But the biggest one out of everything we've covered for the positives at the moment is driving. Do you enjoy driving? If you hate driving and you've got no patience, you're an aggressive driver, this is not the industry for you. Don't waste your money on getting your licenses. Don't spend it. Just put it in your savings account and go and take a holiday or buy yourself something else. Don't waste your money, please. Because if you've got no patience, you don't enjoy driving, why would you become a HGV driver? You know, think about it here. There's no logic behind that. So if you hate driving, just stop watching this video, please. So to sort of summarise in this video, that we've got, on a more positive note, not just about the sacrifices here, you have got independence and flexibility if you want it. You can get that. It depends on how you look at it. Work-life balance, it is there in a more positive way. It's just got to work around you as that individual. But remember, work-life balance comes in all shapes and sizes and can really affect your life on the negative side of things as well. And it has me before, so I can relate to that. But that's why I say it has to fit around you as the individual. It's really important you understand that. There's two sides to it. The pay and salary, you can earn really well in this industry if you put your mind to it. What you put into it is what you get out of it. If you're a lazy driver, you won't earn the money that you want to earn. And don't get me wrong, if you're lucky enough to fall into a role where you earn incredibly good money and a good salary for doing little work, then good on you. Keep it up. Work smart, not hard. You know, career progression. I didn't really touch on that, but there is career progression within the industry. If you don't just want to be a driver, you can upskill yourself to ADR. I have my ADR, my dangerous goods license. I haven't really used it since I've had it. I paid I paid £900 for my ADR license, and I've never really used it. So a little bit of a waste of money for me personally. Whether will I ever use it? You never know. Yeah, I could still use it. It's valid for 5 years, but you could move into a different line of work, you know, a different professional line of work within the industry like that. ADR. You may want to do your transport manager's course and be a transport manager, and you know, we'll touch on that topic maybe another day, because I'm not a transport manager, so I can't really relate to it. But maybe you want to open your own company, your own road haulage company, your own transport company, and becoming a transport manager will enable you to do that. Then you can apply for your O license, but different video for a different day, I guess. So there is career progression. You can move into different roles. And last but not least, and I did write it on the back, lifestyle and travel. That was a big one for me. Lifestyle and travel, especially this one here, traveling. That was another reason why I became a tramper, is to travel the country and see more of the country, beautiful country that we do have. And you don't realise what beautiful parts of the UK there is until you actually become a driver and do distance work, long haul deliveries. So yeah, that is definitely a positive. But once again, and I'll reiterate it one last time, all these sacrifices can certainly be turned around into positives as long as you as an individual understand what comes with spending £2,500, £3,500 on your license. Understanding what comes and sacrifices come with the industry is really important, guys. And like I say, it is what you put into it is pretty much what you get out of it. And that said, that's pretty much the outlook I've tried to have since I've been a driver in this industry. I'm always going to try and have that outlook to it. Yes, I have good days. Yes, I have bad days. Yes, I have days I'm like, I hate this industry, I want to leave it, and we all probably say that. I know we all do. We're only human, we're not perfect, and we should be here to help one another. It's so important we do that. Not put each other down, not slag each other off, support one another's journey, help one another on the road. If you see a driver struggling, why are they struggling? Are they a new driver? Get out and help the driver. Give them a bit of a hand. And I've seen it from both perspectives, good and bad. But like I said, different video for a different day. But the most important thing is what you put into it is what you get out of it, guys. And that's why I've had that outlook since day one. I continue to do that, and I'll continue to give you the content and you the videos, whether it's an educational video or a driving video. Who knows what the future holds. But just bear in mind that everything I'm sharing with you is based on my own personal experience, my own personal opinions, and if I haven't experienced it, I will try my very best not to share it with you. So that said, good luck in your future if you're a new driver. I hope this video was helpful for you. Comment below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, guys, give us a subscribe and a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one. Look after yourselves and one another. Be safe on the roads, and good luck with whatever you decide to do. Speak to you soon.